We're having the full review today. Review is full actually, anyways. How about your own reading about the Girimananda Sutta for the last almost 2 months and probably little over 2 months of study? We've been actually picking up different sannyas, right? Starting from Anitya Sanya. And I got questions already. But you may ask questions in the meantime. I see some new faces as well. I think this could be a new face, but maybe I have seen online, and perhaps there may be some others that I have seen already. Okay, the first question is, would Bhante recommend that the Girimananda Sutta be chanted or listened to by a person who is sick? Yes, definitely. This is what we have been discussing, right, in the introduction, that a parallel sutta like Bojjhanga Sutta is what has been chanted. It's been chanted by many so far. So this could be one of the ideal suttas for somebody. But the problem is, what is the status of the sick person? Is he or she a medically competent person, or a medically incompetent patient? Say, for instance, somebody who is in coma, on a ventilation thing, maybe on a life support machine. This could be kind of a medically incompetent situation. So then the same blessings like what we understand through other suttas. But what about somebody who has a sickness but still can listen to this kind of teaching? Of course, this would be at that point very ideal. But compared to the Bojjhanga Suttas, there is something very interesting with regard to Girimananda Sutta. Girimananda Sutta is easy, crisp, and then easy to understand with regard to life. Bojjhanga Suttas are a little difficult to understand, somewhat difficult. It doesn't mean it has no effect, but somewhat difficult because they are part of the enlightenment. So we are kind of individuals who are looking at enlightenment from being not enlightened, perhaps. But Girimananda Sutta was given to someone who is not enlightened. So, of course, we can relate this sutta better than any other sutta. Or even family members of a sick person, yes. I think the greater benefit goes when the sick person can understand what you are talking, what you are chanting. Any follow-up questions to this? Yes, so then it's good to discuss one by one that way. Yeah.
From the study that we have, the Girimananda Sutta is, like you say, is for the lay people, is more appropriate. In the sense, like in your last one, you were talking about Bojjhanga, is always normally to the Aryas. So then why is it that this sutta is not, packaged? It's not used. Why is it people always do the Bojjhanga? Which is, like you say, is another level, which most lay people, which is, they are not that well versed in Dharma. So the effectiveness, I assume, will be less if you chant the Girimananda Sutta. So the other question is that when we chant whatever sutta, is it the recipient is the one that receives or what? Because when I was discussing with someone, sometimes you were saying that when we chant, they might have, the person may not understand, but there are devas around that probably understand, and who knows, the deva may help that person. Is it possible? Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, interesting. The first question is why it was not chanted specifically for a sick person. It is because perhaps they have not studied the sutta as a sutta study. Now you know it is important. It is more important. Yeah, we don't question about the monks. Yeah, because suttas have been chanted in a cultural way. Even the chanting book, the Paritta chanting book, we call it Chatubhanavara Pali, which was made in Sri Lanka. So the selection was very selective. It was not very exclusive. So then selection has been picked up from different nikayas, and saying that these suttas are more protective than the rest of the suttas. What happened to the other suttas then? So it might not be a good idea to do a framing like that. So maybe it is because due to the chanting books, inclusion of Bojjhanga suttas. So what is the efficacy of other suttas then? There are so many other suttas in the nikayas, right? And now actually the suttas that many monks are chanting, they are not even in the nikayas. Jayamangala Gatha, where are they coming from? Bahung Sahasam Abhinin, they are not even in the chanting book. Jina Panjaraya, this is the problem. Jayasanagata Virajatva and Jayaparit, they are not in any nikayas. So this is why I'm saying one very big reason is that they were not picked up in the way that we look at it now. I'm not saying they were wrongly picked up. Whoever were picked up, they done it in a noble way, in some perspective. So perhaps this was due to their own way of picking up suttas. Perhaps this was picked up by monks towards monks and nuns, not for the lay people, right? Chanting book was chanted by monks among the Mahavihara monks in Sri Lanka, not for the devotees. And finally monks said, this is your chanting book. Now we are revisiting the suttas and looking at the efficacy, protective efficacy of the suttas. Then we find out Girimananda Sutta is a more, an eye-opener with regard to, overcoming our sicknesses. Not just somebody blesses me, but because I understand my healing is coming from understanding these 10 perspectives in my own life. Personally, maybe socially. This is the attempt, Sutta study. Yeah. Sutta study is the attempt. Now, this is why we are looking at the naked truth of the suttas. The naked truth, not the figurative truth that was given by third-party writers about, if you read a Dhamma book, they are mostly based on that, that particular existing understanding. We are just get to the bottom, the naked truth of these suttas. That's why we are finding. Now, because I made you curious about this thing, now you are coming up. So this is a living example. Yes. So we will unpack a lot of these things, as we go on. So perhaps we will make a chanting manual, slowly, looking at the true importance of Nikaya Suttas. This would be one plan one day, right? So it doesn't mean Bojjhanga Suttas are not important. They are important, but they are not very comprehensible to many people. This is a problem if you don't understand. And second question, you said efficacy with regard to the listener's capability. Now, let's say there is a medically incompetent patient. Definitely there is nothing going on, rather than we are going to be happy about we doing our job well. And what about there is someone who has not learned these suttas? Actually, they're very important suttas, because we can't read all these suttas, right? How many suttas are there in the canon Nikaya? 34 Digha Nikaya. Majjhima Nikaya has 152. Anguttara Nikaya has 7,000 over suttas. Sangyutta Nikaya has 9,500 over suttas. Kuddaka Nikaya has another selection of almost perhaps 500, 6,000 suttas. So you think you need to read all these suttas? I don't think. But if you have time, you may go and read them. But the thing is that you have to read them in a proper manner. What suttas are necessary for me to read for this particular topic? Now say for instance, Paticca Samuppada. Now someone wants to know about Paticca Samuppada. Different people talk about Paticca Samuppada in different formats. Think about scientific way, philosophical way, then early Nikaya way and Abhidhamma way. There are many ways to look at it. And Paticca Samuppada's tanha is not the tanha in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Very interesting. Now in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, it talks about Kama tanha, Bhava tanha, Vibhava tanha. But Vibhanga Sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya, which is the highest analysis about Paticamuppada, says tanha is sixfold: Rupa tanha, Gandha tanha, then Saddha tanha, Rasa tanha, Pottabha tanha, Dhamma tanha. Then we understand the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta's analysis about tanha is a very broader way of explaining tanha. That's why Paticamuppada explains tanha a little differently. This is how we understand. So that's why we need to learn the specific important suttas with regard to different subjects in Buddhism. That is an important aspect of the sutta study. Now we discuss about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. We discuss about asava. We discuss about wealth management, Pattakama Sutta and all that. We discuss about protection, Dajagga Sutta. And there were many other suttas we discussed in between. And now we discuss Girimananda Sutta, one of the most powerful suttas about healing, right? So, I don't think that Devas are happy and protect you in that point, because then Devas will take the maximum advantage of that sutta. They also need good karma. I saw there was a question somebody asked about Devas later on. So, I mean, if you are a good person, if you perhaps at least you turn on the chanting CD or maybe the thing, Deva might think you are letting him listen to this chanting. Perhaps he might be happy for you. Or she might be happy for you. Other than that, if you cannot understand, that's why we are learning these suttas. That's the main reason, right? We cannot use other person's free package to enjoy the life at that point. We have to find our own package. Yes. All right. Okay, so this is really possible, but better the community understand what these 10 sannyas are. That is how you will be helpful. Otherwise, you will be supported, you will be given some blessings, but they might not be adequate for you to heal. Because these 10 perspectives of healing, they are happening to the extent that you understand your life, not to the extent that you don't know your life. Right? It's not that 10 monks come and then chant this Girimananda Sutta for you. Yes, there is a blessing. You are happy. You know that they are doing a good thing for you. Grateful. There is a certain blessing. But what if you understand this anicca? My life is anicca. Even the breath that I am taking is anicca. It is changing all the time. Right? Even my life, I have been going through a lot of changes. Happy, unhappy, neutral changes. And we also discuss anicca in two ways. Change and changeability. I think that is something you learn for the first time. You always thought that change is the only anicca. No. There are many things we can change in our life. Right? There are so many things we can change in our life. Now the transhumanism in sciences at the moment. Lots of discussions going on. Cloning process. How do scientists create an artificial god, cow, and then give the life to the god? And what about that we freeze 1,000 human bodies for next 1,000 years in frozen format? Can we send the human consciousness to the cloud? Even the person died. These are really good, interesting ways to look at it, because many things that we are enjoying in today's life, they are science-based. I don't think that all the hardcore things Buddhism talks about can be verified by science. But transhumanism. So I mean, looking at all these perspectives, we really need to learn a little bit of these suttas, at least a little bit about them, at least what are they talking about. Okay, keeping the timing, I'm going to go to the next question. What is the main difference in the Girimananda Sutta for monastics and lay disciples? I don't think there is any difference. When everyone is sick, when someone is sick, there is no monk and lay category at that point. Right? They all are sick. So they need help. So the only benefit that someone can get at that point is any training a monk has previously gotten in his or her life that might help him to fast track his healing, whereas a layperson might not be. perhaps. But you have no excuse at this point. You should have, you should be equally learning like a monk or nun about this thing. So there's no difference, because when someone is sick, it's just being sick. The human body is sick. There's no difference. Same. What is the significance and why the experience and calming or mental formations are in the second tetrad? It's a very interesting question. Instead of third tetrad in the Anapanasati. What do you think? Because now the four tetrads, may I know whether you understood this part? We've been discussing, okay, looks like no. So we've been discussing Girimananda Sutta with regard to 10 perceptions. So that means these different forms of healing happen the way how we put them into our life. And the last perception is about Anapanasati, which we discussed, I think last Monday. It's about watching our breaths. But the Anapanasati Sutta and Girimananda Sutta and some other suttas talk about Anapanasati in a very integrated, combined practice through 16 steps, which span over 4 tetrads. Tetrad means 4 things. But Satipatthana Suttas and Satipatthana Samyutta, which has almost 100 suttas, talk about Anapanasati in a very brief way. Just a very brief way, like we do our breath meditation normally. We have a Sunday meditation, a very brief way. Why is it? It is because the 4 Satipatthanas have been included within the Anapanasati. That is why it has become 16. Now, if you look at the tetrads, you see the second one is about feelings, third one is about thoughts, last one is about Dhamma. It's just like the way how the Satipatthanas were given. But you see, the Chitta Sankhara, mental formations, have been given under the second tetrad, not in the third tetrad. You always think if anything is about Chitta, it must come under the Chitta Sankhara. But Anapanasati Sutta and then this huge, broader understanding of Anapanasati subject teaches us that no, Chittas are very abstract and complex, messy structures. You perhaps be asked by somebody, you may be asked by somebody to watch your own thoughts. But in the Satipatthana perspective, in the Anapanasati perspective, it is said that feelings would be the best stage to look at the root level of your kusala structures. You can do from chittas, but very messy, very abstract. Chittas are very abstract. Now I will give you in a different way. If you look at 5 aggregates, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, you see that Vedana and Sanya, they are the Chitta Sankharas. Right? Is it? Sanya and Vedana, they are the Chitta Sankhara. Where is it mentioned? Chula Vedala Sutta. Right? It is said that Chitta Sankharas are Sanya and Vedana. I think some others might be a little confused about this. What are these Sankharas? Sankhara is a huge topic. I think we discussed that in one of the notes. Now, normally Sankhara means conditioned stuff. What are the conditioned things in our life? Are we conditioned? How are we conditioned in our life? Are you conditioned by anybody? How did you come to this life? Huh? Yeah, before past karma, you are conditioned physically by your parents. Right? Don't go that far. And then you are thinking, how I got into this couple? It is because there was a certain good karma I must have done. Right? It depends on what family you were born in. Good family, very loving, affectionate family. Mother, father were really taking care of you. Some other people might not have this blessing, probably. And then you are thinking, so if it was a good karma, I must have become a human or good person in that life. Then I must have done another good karma to be so. Right? Then all our karmas were conditioned. And then our normal life, are things conditioned? Everything is conditioned. Look at this building. Was this building conditioned? Is it conditioned? Even now it is conditioned. So how is the building conditioned here? Let's look at it. Who made this building? Somebody who made it. Who planned this building? Huh? Whoever the engineers, structural engineers, whoever, right? Who asked them to plan this building? Whoever the people in the management committee, they want to make it. And they said, this is the plan we want to have it in this building. And this idea was conditioned among the committee members at that time. We want to have a place. I think before this building, they were having talks next to that Avasa hall, the Vihara, what do you call? There was a building that they made, temporary. So then, this building was conditioned by that building. Because people were not happy, not spacious enough, that building. Then why did they go to that building? Maybe the what do you call? Henry Hall was not having good time, So everything is conditioned, going far back, then far for the future. Right? Ideas are conditioned. Material things are conditioned. Our bodies are conditioned. Our kusala, akusala are conditioned. Then it must be a very big topic in our life. Right? This sankhara part. But here, what do you call, that whole sankhara has many perspectives. One idea is conditioners. And second idea of conditioning is regarding karma. Karma, good karma, bad karma, neutral karma. We call it Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara, that part. All what we are doing through Chetana, they are karma. That's the second context. There are many, I would pick up a couple of them. Any other Sankhara definition? Any other Sankhara definition? Paticcasamuppada. In the Paticcasamuppada, we understand there are 12 nidanas, right? Avidya paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana. And then that sankhara is also karmic formation. But between every sankhara, so between every nidana, there is a process happening. What do we call it? Paccaya, right? It is called paccaya. If you take these 12 nidanas, then the first nidana is called avijja, sankhara, then sankhara paccaya vijnana, nama rupa, salayatana, passa, after passa vedana, tanha, upadana, then bhava, jati, jara marana. Jara marana. Now, this process, as we understand here, you might think about cause and effect. But this is not how it was given. How it was given. There is something going on. You think about avijja causes sankhara to exist. Sankhara causes vijnana to arise. Vijnana causes nama rupa to arise. Nama rupa causes salayatana to arise. Salayatana causes passa to arise. Let me put a curve here. And then passa causes vedana to arise. Vedana causes tanha to arise. Tanha causes upadana to arise. Upadana causes bhava to arise. Bhava causes jati to arise. And jati causes jarama to arise. But how is the processing happen? It is because this directly affects like a straight line? No. There's something else happening. We call it, if this is hetu, If this is pala in Pali, then there are conditioners that are causing, we call it Pachaya. Yeah, Pachaya. Pachayas are conditioners. So that means this Pachaya, what you call conditions, they are also coming out of this broader understanding about Sankhara. And also somebody might wonder, what is the cause of avijja? Asava, right? It's like a question somebody asks in a country. Everybody was created by the God. And who created the God? Get out of my class, you know. You don't respect our country. You have to respect it. It's okay. But we are questioning, what is the cause of avijja? Asava. Then, asava. Asava. You think asava causes avijja, then how about asava? They are mutually constructive. They are mutually constructive. Asava causes avijja to arise. Avijja causes asava to arise. That is the interrelatedness. And then there is another mutually constructive stage here. Here, Vijnana and Namarupa. Sometimes Namarupa creates Vijnana. Some other time Vijnana creates Namarupa. Now think about the cloning process, the modern scientific discovery. They are creating an artificial animal, and then the consciousness must arise in that artificial animal, right? So that means cloning process is pro with Buddhism, Buddhist friendly. I mean, we don't have to be that underestimated, but this is another place, another joint, mutually constructed joint. So what I was trying to say, Sankhara, what you call the conditioning process in other format, works between all these links. Okay. Now, going back to our question, the reason why Chitta Sankhara, which are called as, what are the Chitta Sankhara? Okay, Sanya and Vedana. Sanya means, let's put it, memories, perceptions. What are the meanings? Mental notes. Vedana, feeling, sensation. Now, I think the answer is here. Answer is here. If Chitta Sankhara includes Vedana, it must be under the Vedana Anupassana. Right? Now the question is, why the experience, now we see calming of mental formations is included under the Vedana Anupassana. How was it given? What was the Pali phrasing for that? Passang bhayang chitta sankharang. Now you are watching your breath by calming down your sanya and vedana. So it must come under the Vedana Anupassana, not under the Chitta Anupassana. So it is because when you are dealing with your akusala or kusala, it's very easy to look at the root cause of kusala akusala at the level of feeling, not at the level of the thought. That's why it was given under the second tetrad. So it's very easy to watch root level of kusala akusala at the level of feeling. Why? Every kusala akusala create a certain what do you call emotive stage. There is an emotive state, stage or state. Sanya, this is interesting too. In order for you to have a certain emotive state, you need to have a certain experience about the certain activity. Say for instance, now you are seeing someone that made you really happy and you are seeing that person again. Then how are you going to think about that good memory? It is through the sanya. Immediately you get to the feeling. So they are interrelated. So they are under the Chitta Sankhara they must come under the Vedanānupassana. I think you are kind of puzzled with the Pali word chitta. You think that it should come under Chittanupassana. It's not that way. So Chittanupassana has another 4 different levels. But Chitta Sankara, they what you call mean, Sanya and Vedana, they are part of Vedanānupassana. So in short, what I can say is, you can deal with your kusala, akusala experiences at the Vedanānupassana level rather than waiting for the chittas. Because there is a usual understanding, you have to watch your thoughts. It is very difficult to watch thoughts. I think you know how challenging is that, right? Sometimes you want to watch them, but it is not going to be practical. Why? We are not catching them at the Vedanānupassana level. That is the problem. Look at the memory. What memory come into mind? Try to look at the memory of that particular activity and then the related feeling thereof. Then you can easily nip in the bud. Nip that in the bud. Not wait until it becomes a full thought and then it's very structured at that point. So rather than saying, watch your thoughts, it is better to say, watch your Vedana, feeling, because feeling is what you call preceded by a Sanya, that's called Chitta Sankara. Any question about that? Follow-up question? Maybe you can save that question later. Is it clear? Should be. Okay. What are differences of the Anicca Viraga Nirodha at the 4th tetrad to the Anicca Viraga and Nirodha Sanya? I think you are asking about a specific change with regard to the last, what you call, tetrad. Actually, what I was trying to say on that day was that you don't need to go to all these aspects. You can pick up even anicca. Think about a certain change that has happened to you in your life. And then bring that personal understanding about change while you are watching your breath. If you think you are able to go to Nirodha, certain moments of cessation with regard to your thoughts, a moment you black out, you are empty, you are blank, right? That is another level of practicing Dhammanupassana, the 4th tetrad. What about Viraga? Viraga here means, as we said, what you call, not encouraging raga. Was there a moment in your life you become very, how to say, stay away from certain raga activities, perhaps lust, perhaps going beyond the lust, a moment of pure spiritual moment, right? You were thinking, did I have that kind of a moment in my life, right? So you are bringing that particular moment into your understanding, and then on the side you are watching, you're carrying on your breath meditation. So like that we can see examples as such. Nirodha Sanya is a certain understanding about Nibbana. We can understand Nibbana by even not becoming enlightened, because certain literal understanding about Nibbana and what could happen to someone who attained Nibbana, right? So those are the differences. I think I better, rather than we talk about highly theoretical things at this point, I better suggest you to think about Anicca Sanya. That is more than enough at that point. How do we balance between cultivating positive thoughts and being unconditioned? Now, going back to our another question before we discuss, we can cultivate positive thoughts, kusala thoughts, by paying attention to Vedanānupassana, feelings. Because feelings are preceded by sanya, perceptions. And being unconditioned. I think you are asking this question from a perspective that how not to be conditioned. Then you must go to Nibbana. Because the only state that you can be unconditioned is the Nibbana. We call it Visankhara. The Pali word is Visankhara. Before that, what you can think about is, what is Nibbana like? What is the nature of Nibbana? The perfect deconditioned, unconditioned state, right? But let me suggest you something. Don't worry about these things. We never know when we're going to enlighten, attain Nibbana. Perhaps soon, perhaps later. Don't worry about the timeline, deadlines. You have no deadline. But you will make it one day, right? You will make it. So that's a very happy thing. What you can do is that you need to understand this conditioned world. Everything is conditioned. My information, myself. Can I just reduce me being conditioned? That is a good way to look at it. Not that how to become unconditioned. Like in one straight line. Think a very practical, like a small project. Because everything is highly conditioned. How can I become little less conditioned in that whole messy world? Right? Now say for instance, the idea of looking for superfood, healthy food is one way to become unconditioned, right? I mean, not getting into the processed food, right? People would like to see them in the raw nature. In the same way, you are looking at the way how I've been keeping in touch with my friends, family. They were highly conditioned situations. They condition me a lot. They talk gossip to me. They talk bad things to me. They forward all these unnecessary, non-virtuous gossip all the time through WhatsApp or whatever, Facebook. But was I impacted by their conditioning? Perhaps I just look at them in a moderate way. I'm not getting angry. I'm not getting upset about them. I just look at it normally. So let's try to work on that kind of process in lowering this conditioning process. That would be a better way to look at it. Rather than not tonight, I'm going to be unconditioned like this. Prince Siddhartha, such a Siddhartha. That might be a little unrealistic goal. You'll be stressed, which we don't need. So what I suggest is try to reduce the certain conditioning that are happening in your personal life. That will be better for you. Say for instance, looking at your life 5 years back, 10 years back, you were such a very impatient person. You were very snappy, you were grumpy, you don't tolerate people. But through learning some Dhamma things, you understand, I have to be changed. I was super conditioned by other people's situations. I should not pick up those things from other people. I have to make a choice in my life. I can make choices in my life. Not that I want to eat this food and that food. I can make a spiritual choice. I can make a healthy kusala choice. Why? I'm going to stay away from this conditioning process as much as possible in my own way. That kind of approach will be the answer to this question. Bhante has mentioned that Dhamma is a bridge. Not me actually, Buddha said. But otherwise you'll be asking, where is that bridge? But at the end, even monks need to let go of Dhamma. The word is unlearn, actually, not let go, unlearn. Unlearn. Unlearn means what? The idea here is that in the Alagadupama Sutta Majjhima Nikaya, Alagadupama Sutta, perhaps you can check that, the number of the sutta. The Buddha says that we have to unlearn even the Dhamma one day. What about the Adhamma? What about Akusala? Actually, this idea should not be taken literally. Okay, Dhamma is not important at a certain place. No, Dhamma is important. Because we are always getting all the trashy garbage information all the time. From many. Dhamma is important. But don't even use Dhamma, take Dhamma as a heavy weight. There are many people, when they are learning Dhamma, they can't even walk, Very heavy. Why are you? What's going on with you? You've been walking very well. 1 week ago, I can't walk, Chankamana meditation. What is that? Walking meditation. Yes, just walk as you used to walk. It's not your speed. It's how you look at your walking. It's not the pace of your walk. I know you walk very fast right after you left the temple. Don't pretend this to me. Don't go to a very different, like a what do you call those kind of fancy form like in your life, because you are cheating on yourself. Dhamma, nobody checks on you. Buddha never checks on you. Others cannot even check. It's only you. It's you. The criterion is coming from you, right? So that's how we look at it. So then here, what is meant by the Buddha is that don't carry the Dhamma as a knowledge, right? Don't make it to a knowledge. Don't make it to a pustaka. We need books for generations, but Dhamma, we have to bring it to our life, daily life, not on the lunar day, new moon, full moon, retreat, daily life, daily life. That's the answer. Otherwise, this will be another fancy university study, knowledge study. You come and learn, write down, bring it, never plant it, right? There are many seeds in your house, right? A lot of information are being carried, transmitted. Then you become someone called, as the Buddha said in Dhammapada, cowherd. Cowherd who is not counting one's own cows, but others' cows. Why should we count other people's cows, right? So we should, that's an idea, gopo. So the idea here is that Dhamma we have to learn Dhamma, but not to make it as a knowledge all the time. Yes, we learn it as a knowledge, we respect it, try to incorporate in our daily life. And the way how I do and you do may be different. Even here, one person does, the other person does, could be different, because they have their own different lives. Think about somebody is having a very difficult life with somebody in the household, the family, maybe husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, maybe children have a very hard communication. Not a good communication has been happening for many years. And then there is somebody whose family is very peaceful, very nice. They don't actually need a lot of Dhamma. Life is already good. Already good. No need to think a lot about Dhamma. Maybe for the enlightenment one day. Look at these two families, how they are supposed to carry Dhamma. One family already built in with that Dhamma perspective. Other family has to start from the beginning of everything, which is little challenging. So that means the way you will do it could be different from one family to the other family. But it doesn't matter. At least you start from somewhere. That matters. So here what is said is, monks need to let go of, no, they don't have to let go. They have to let go akusala. They have to unlearn. Don't carry it as a knowledge, mere knowledge, right? The Dhamma is not just a knowledge. So even not for even monks, for everybody, don't carry it as a knowledge. Always try to see how it is going to work in my personal life, social life. Say for instance, you are learning right speech, a very important subject. You learn, maybe you've been learning right speech from many monks, books, and wherever. And then you are learning about pleasant speech. You have to be nice to talk to other people. But it's very conditioned by other people, right? This pleasant, nice speech is very conditioned by other people. Some people are saying, I was very nice to you, but one word you said in the morning, that was the word that changed everything about my speech. I was a good person, but you changed me. That means not understanding this conditioning process. Answer to one of the questions earlier was that try to lower the conditioning that is coming from other people. Right? This question. How do we balance between cultivating positive thoughts and being unconscious? Try to lower the conditioning that is happening from other people. How to lower it? Take care of your responses. Don't be reactive. Think about what could be a good answer, good response to that person, right? So in the same way, as we discuss here, this question, Dhamma has to be learned. The true Dhamma, right? Sometimes you are learning a lot of things, but they are not very core of the Dhamma. You are learning XYZ bits and pieces. You are highly dispersed, very confused. Some people are asking, sometimes, where do I say, don't read anything, just stay like this. You are learning a lot of things. Finally, a lot of readings have confused you more than how you were confused before you start reading. right? Maybe I will think about something for you. Like the story of one man in the Buddha time. Let me tell you, it's a story in the Dhammapada. I think it's a very interesting story. There was one businessman who met a monk. So he asked, I think I'm very good in my financial life. I want to practice Buddhism. I think these are very common examples. And then the monk said, okay, I don't know a lot of Dhamma, but I can tell you one thing. You can start your Buddhist practice by giving dana. He asked, what is this dana? He said, you offer some food to Sangha members. Okay, so he started giving dana once a month. Monks were Pindapata monks at that time. And then what happened? He has been doing it for a couple of months. Then he again approached the monk and said, I think I'm doing this. I want to intensify my practice, something to more involve. Then the monk said, okay, you can go for 2 times a month, maybe first half and the second half. After some time again, he contacted the monk, said, I want to further investigate this dana, other practices. He said, you give every day, you do dana every day, Yeah, I can do that too. He started doing dana every day. Must be a very free man, huh? Very free, must have having online business. Anyways, making that much of time, for the temple. Anyways, then after some time, he approached the monk again, said, is dana the only thing that we should do in Buddhism? That's a very interesting question, right? Then the monk said, perhaps you can do sila, precepts. Precepts and discipline, sila, sikha, 2 things actually. But sila has sikha. And then he started practicing certain sila, not killing, not stealing, not sexually misbehaving, not lying, not taking any beverages or food to the extent that one is not going to lose the presence of mind, so he can make a good judgment. Then he was again approaching the monk after some time and said, is there any other practice I can intensify? Such a very fast-track man. I mean, want to go to Nibbana faster. I mean, good thing, in a way. He said, I think I don't know any other practice. Maybe you can become a monk. Okay, what is being a monk? He said, you stop being a layperson. You go to a temple, you become a monk. I know my teacher. You can go there and then ask him whether you can ordain me. He said, okay, he went back home. He said to the wife, I have an idea. I don't know whether you like it. She said, okay, yes, I will accept. I will wait for you. And then you go and become a monk. Then he immediately decided. He went to the temple and he asked. Then what happened? The monk, senior monk in the temple, ordained him. Now, at that time, normally, even now, it is happening in different ways. Every new monk has 2 teachers. One is the acharya. Acharya means the immediate teacher. The other one is upajjhaya, like a mentor. Upajjhaya. Now, upajjhaya is someone is not always giving advices. Time to time you go and you get a piece of advice, right? So, what happened to this businessman monk was that his teacher was a Vinaya teacher, very high-end Vinaya teacher, and then the Upajjhaya was Abhidhamma teacher. So when he goes to the Upajjhaya, he talks about very, very hardcore Dhamma things. He never understands. He said, we have to break everything away, analyze, and we have to synthesize. He was a little bit confused. What is the analysis and synthesis? This happens. It's like somebody, unscrew something and then put them back again. Abhidhamma has that kind of approach. You are dissecting things, you are taking things out, you have to divide them, analyze them, and then again you have to find out the synthesizing part. Synthesize, how can you assemble them back? It's a process. Not everybody is going to understand, and no need to understand too. Different people understand differently. And then when he goes to the teacher, he is saying, you can't do like this, you can't do this, you have to go there. So many strict advices. Then he told other monks, before I became a monk, I was a very happy layperson. Whenever I want to be spiritual, I became spiritual. But I wanted to accept the full spiritual version. Now even I can't stretch my hand. I can't flex. What is wrong with me now? Then I better go back and then be a normal layperson. So other monks reported this incident to the Buddha. Then Buddha asked him to come. And they asked, why are you going to disrobe? And he said, I was a happy layperson. I was supporting Sangha members and giving dana and all that. And at a certain point, I wanted to intensify my practice. And I found a monk. He was the one who suggested all that. And then finally, I became a monk. But depending on my teacher and upajjhaya, I feel I'm kind of very stuck in my life. I don't have freedom. I became a monk to become free. And it's like I'm caught up in their own versions, in the Abhidhamma or Vinaya versions. Then the Buddha said, forget about Vinaya, forget about Abhidhamma. Can you do one thing for me? He asked, yeah, one thing, yes. What is that? One thing. Can you take care of your thoughts? Very interesting advice. He said, yes, that's what I want. Then he practiced whatever the good things Buddha asked him. He became enlightened in a couple of days. Now we have to look at this important idea. Taking care of the thought, is that everything? Yes. When you take care of your thoughts, you think you will break your precepts? You will never do that. Because any breaking of precepts will come when you are not taking care of yourself, your thoughts. What about Abhidhamma? You will understand Abhidhamma through taking care of your thoughts. Not that you go, okay, what is this? Tell me this framework. Right? What is it, Pattana? How many Pattanas are there? Vibhangas? Not that intellectual stepping into the Abhidhamma. You understand Abhidhamma through culturing, taking care of your thoughts. So that means you should get a personal, custom-made advice from the right person, under the right condition. That is where you're going to make this happen. Not that you have to learn everything. You might do that until you find that teacher, the person, right? So in the same way, it doesn't mean that we don't have to learn Dhamma, but we have to learn, but don't carry it as a knowledge. Knowledge will be helpful for an examination, but not for your personal transformation all the time. Okay, I think because of the timing, we have to get going. It is said that Devas lose their beauty, luminescence and vigor, signs of aging, just before they expire. Do Devas get sick? No, Devas don't get sick. But they are going through a lot of dukkha. What are the dukkha's Devas are going through? Jealousy, anger, frustration that they are supposed to leave the heavens. Because their bodies are very subtle bodies, they are not eating coarse solid food like us. Their bodies are not getting sick. Because we have a body which has to be fed with all the coarse solid food. That's why this body is going through a lot of pain. But they are not having that kind of body. It's a very subtle body. So, yes, as you said, at the moment they are going to die, they are seeing certain indications. Their garlands become faded, and then they feel there is sweat under their armpits. There are certain indications, but they never get sick. That is one beauty that they are having. But we have also seen there are many devas who have died out of anger and jealousy, right? Their death is called as Chuta, what you call Chavana. There's a Pali word called Chavana, if you can read that. It's called Chuti or Chavana. This is not Marana. Devas don't go through Marana. Marana is our process. Devas go through Chavana. Why? They are disappearing from the heavens. Right? We are letting our body just be decomposed here, wherever we are going to die. So Devas don't get sick, but they are going through dukkha. There are some events, devas directly went to the hell, some devas. The good karma they did only to the extent of one deva world, then bad karmas they did took him or her over directly. It's a straight line to the hell. That's why, I mean, all these are switching between. Becoming a Sotapanna is the best choice, is looked at through these incidents. How to practice Girimananda Sutta daily since it contains profound Dhamma and core Buddhist doctrines? Well, I think we discussed that part. You look at your own version of Girimananda Sutta. You don't have to hit that higher version. Let's say you take Anicca Sanya. You look at how things are being changed in your life. Even your physical self. Are you the same person that you were 10 years back? You are a different person. And now, even when you came here by 8 o'clock, and when you are leaving 9:30, by 9:30, you are not the same person. Right? Look at that change. It's like watching a river. The water that I saw in 1 nanosecond is not the water that I see next time. Changes are there. But take changes happily. A lot of people look at changes very unhappily. Whatever the change that is happening in my life, in the world, look at them happily. But if there was a change that made many people suffer, being empathetic about it, compassionate about it, do something for that. I understand the change, but I think I could do something for that situation. Right? So that is one thing. Anatta Sanya. This is very interesting. Anatta Sanya. We always carry this self mentality. Yes, do we need that? We do need the self. This is why a lot of Buddhist writers confuse the rest of the world. When they introduced this anatta concept, they said, no self, non-self. Right? That's why when a Buddhist teacher was going to talk to a business audience about how to manage finances from a Buddhist perspective, somebody asked, what are you talking? Even we don't exist. Who has to manage the finances at this point? Because the books I read already, they are always saying, there is nobody existing. So who is going to manage the finances? It's a wrong understanding, wrong translation. Anatta doesn't mean non-self or no self. Anatta means not self. Self exists with changes. And at a certain point, we understand even that self cannot be called as a self. So these two versions of self has to be differently understood, not in one way, singularly understood. Right? So then you are understanding. Somebody blamed me today morning, criticized me. Should I take revenge as a Buddhist? And you are thinking, maybe the person who blamed me, criticized me today morning is not that person anymore by now. And I am not the person who was blamed. If I believe that self is always existing permanently, then I would stick to that revenge. That means your anger will be gone off in a moment of time. For those people who are quarreling, going into commotions, fights, taking revenge, they have not understood that hard truth, looking at Anatta Sanya. Take another Sanya. What could be another Sanya? Anapanasati, it's a good Sanya, very most important Sanya. Why is it? When you practice Anapanasati, how do you understand your breath? Through the feeling, through the emotive states. Every time when akusalas are going to arise, you understand through your feeling, through your sensations of your breath, now I'm on the way to become irritated. You pick it up at the infantry level of that emotion. So I only shared with you a couple of them, 3 of them. There are all these sanyas, they are very valuable to make our life better, especially in our daily life, not in the future life, not just to attain Nibbana. Now the other misunderstanding is Buddhism is only for Nibbana. No, Buddhism is for daily life, and the fruition, pinnacle of that daily life is Nibbana. How to attain Nibbana without making our daily life better? Right? It's like somebody is talking about happiness in his or her daily life. Family is not good. And looking for the happiness. And hitting the Nibbana in the first level. No. One has to create that happiness in his house. You cannot change people in the house sometimes. You may change, you cannot change. Understanding them, how to talk. Maybe my words are not very good. Maybe I'm picking up very badly. I'm picking on people. Maybe I'm raising my voice. I have to lower myself. Maybe I'm very talkative. I'm gossiping a lot. Maybe I'm not doing my responsibilities. So I want to become a better person. Then I create my house happiness. Then Nibbana must be the fruition of this whole, maybe my workplace, the way how I interact with other people. That is the proper way. So you can bring lot of sanya perspective to your daily life. How by reflection and contemplation on this sutta work? Yes, definitely all these are reflections. That's why it is called sanya. Sanya has a reflection. Every time you bring all this sanya as a reflection. Contemplation. Does it work on the basis of correcting the distortion of truth and true nature of existence? Yeah, I mean, you are talking sanya vipallasa here. Another Pali word, vipallasa, distortion. That's why I told you, sanya, we are being misinformed by a lot of things in this world. So we are trying to understand what are these misinformation. Not liking them, not disliking them. Looking at them with some equanimity, what you call upekka. So we will understand slowly. We might not be able to understand everything in 1 day, 2 day, 1 month. So parallel to bringing these sannyas into my daily life, your daily life, you are also understanding what are the misinformation that I have already processed. I am yet to process. I will have to process. Can I not process them? So then you will understand this vipallasa distortion. Yeah, that is the way how you practice it. Is Satipatthana meditation considered more of a samatha meditation or a vipassana meditation? The answer is, Buddha does not talk about samatha and vipassana in his meditation practice, initially. Samatha, vipassana, they are samma sati. Now these two words are mentioned in the Anguttara Nikaya, in one or couple of suttas, but when the Buddha refers his meditation, he never picked up this word called samatha or vipassana. What he picked up was samma sati. What is samma sati? For satipatthanas. Because every satipatthana, if you look at it, there is a samatha version and vipassana version. So you can't break them up. It's like mind or the body. Can we dissect mind or the body? Can we take one or the other? Can we take mind over body or body over mind? Then how to understand this? There's a non-duality. You can't dissect them. Then why did the Buddha pick up mind and the body separately sometime? Just to give us some more details. But the ultimate nature is they are inseparable. It's like Brahman and Atman in Hinduism, right? Hindu books talk about Brahman. They say everything is an essence of the Brahman. Then Veda Brahman time. Then Aranyak Upanishad time, they talk about Atman. The people who left the house, they were talking about we have to become monks and nuns and practice Atman. Then finally they understand Atman is inside Brahman. Brahman, Atman are identical, not unidentical. In the same way, we cannot separate out samatha vipassana. Samatha is the calming part, vipassana is the intellectual part. They are all inside the satipatthanas. Why to dissect them? So who dissected them is the later meditation styles, especially Mahasi and Burmese style. So they made it, if you read their stories, what they done was that they were looking at it as a response to the Western colonialism that happened in the 20th century, 19th to 20th century in Burma, being responsible to the British and the other European colonial people. Other than that, I think you are learning early Buddhism. What did the Buddha say exactly in the early suttas? We understand Samma Sati and all these Satipatthanas, they are teaching us how to calm us and how to bring us into the intellectual part, what you call Panya part. Is the first tetrad considered samatha meditation, and from the second tetrad, no, all are having samatha vipassana. If you ask me samatha vipassana parts, where are they? They are all carrying inside all satipatthanas. We cannot separate them. When do we move from first tetrad to second tetrad? How would we know we are ready to move to the next tetrad? Actually, there is no prerequisite between tetrad. That means you must have completed the first tetrad in order for you to go to the next tetrad. There's no prerequisite. So people, even without going to jhanas, they can even move forward to the next tetrad. I think there are sort of 4 different practices that we all have to practice by and large. So we practice Kayanupassana, breath meditation in a way. Similarly, parallelly on the side, we look at our feelings with sanya. On the other side, we look at 16 kind of thoughts. And on the other side, at the same time, simultaneously, we're looking at whether I have pancha nivarana, 5 hindrances, whether I have, and all that. So there is no prerequisite. What we are supposed to do is we are trying to initiate these 4 practices in our own way. And that is how this is going to happen. And if you asking me, how do I know I'm ready? Then you are asking me whether I have to go from 1 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 6. It's not that way. So I think you are supposed to practice them simultaneously. Whenever you know you have done enough of that practice, you think that you are really simultaneously improved in those 4 perspectives. Not that you first finish and then go to the next one and then go to the next one. No, it won't happen. It's not practical. It won't happen. If we don't achieve samadhi in the first tetrad, does it mean we cannot? I think I answered already. Is pahana sanya an intensive and extensive development in upholding precepts? Bhante, please comment on this. No. Because pahana sanya in the Girimananda Sutta and pahana in Buddhism, there are 2 things. Pahana means, what is pahana in Buddhism? It could be renunciation. Renunciation. Right? Renunciation. But pahana sanya in Girimananda Sutta means effort. 4 efforts. Removing the existing akusala, and then preventing non-existing akusala, developing existing kusala, creating new kusala. Right? These are the efforts we were talking about with regard to pahana sanya. Right? The other pahana is renunciation. Actually, this is an interesting word. A lot of people misunderstand renunciation. Remember the Hindu perspective, like what the Buddha went through in his time. What you call Veda Brahmana books talk about no renunciation. They say we have to follow Brahmins, the high class people. You come to us, we pray for you, we connect you to the God. Right? It's like a phone call 20 years back, trunk call. If you want to call somebody overseas, tell us, we connect you. Right? At that time, no IDD. Right? Go to the post office, trunk call, wait for that. Right? They were saying, you have to come to us, we kind of burn joss sticks, everything, and we connect you to the God. Then some other people were not happy about this thing. Aranyaka Upanishad time, they thought, no, we have to walk away from houses, become monks and nuns. And they were the people Buddha went through, those 6 ascetics, Purana Kassapa, Makkali Gosala, Ajita Kesa Kambala, Pakuda Kachayana, Nigantanataputta, Sanjay Bellatiputta. These were the 6 ascetic traditions that were existing. Actually, Buddhism offshot from a ascetic tradition, parallel to the Nigantanataputta. You see, when you look at Nigantanathaputta's photo, it's the Buddha. Nobody else. If you look at Mahavira's photo, perhaps we can see here. If you look it up on internet, you see Mahavira is exactly the Buddha. So what happened after that, long time after this Aranyaka Upanishad time, there was a book came up. The book was called Bhagavad Gita. I think you may have heard this book. The Hindu's handbook, like the Dhammapada to the Buddhists. Bhagavad Gita harmonizes the tension between Veda Brahmana and Aranyaka Upanishad, saying that you don't have to pray to the God. You don't have to leave the house. why you have to leave the house to become a better person? Because we advise you, renunciation is not an outer renunciation. Inner renunciation is the important thing. You may be in the house, but you already renounced, just like a monk and nun. It doesn't mean you are celibate, but your ideas are renounced ideas. You don't have to become monk and nun at that point, unless you want to go for a novitiate program. If you are very serious, you may go, but you don't have to. Doctrinally speaking, you don't have to, right? So we have to renounce internally. There is an internal renunciation. That means you are still using comforts, but you know that I don't have a lot of clinging towards them. I don't have a lot of cravings towards them. I may have a lot of things in my life, but I have let go of that craving, clinging to them. So that is called pahana, but pahana sanya is effort, right? Effort. It's a very, I think somebody has put all these 16 steps here. When practicing Satipatthana meditation, are we supposed to repeat the words in our mind in sequence as provided in them? No, no need. I think I just told you, this is not a sequential practice. So you improve them separately. Kayanupassana on the side, Vedananupassana on the side, Chitta Dhamma on the side. So it can be developed separately. You don't have to. There are a lot of intervals, don't worry. Looking for a break here, see? Yes. 14. Am I correct to conclude that one only has to contemplate on pahana, not usually carry out pahana? You did review the actual methods of pahana dealt with in earlier sutta. When we discuss, actually as I said, pahana sanya, two things. Same question and answer. So contemplation should be on issues related. Please comment on my perception of the issue. Contemplation should be on, personal references, personal activities, definitely. I don't know, where did you pick this up? Maybe a note? Pahana sanya, to be able to give up on an akusala act, prevent, and all that. Thus, a Buddhist intent on living a life according to Buddha Dhamma would not entirely entertain any akusala thoughts. Try, level best, practically speaking, try. The Buddha had given teachings on how to prevent, overcome, abandon akusala thoughts, pahana sanya, develop akusala thoughts. While, yeah, definitely, how to think about pahana sanya without referring to myself. I know how is my kusala practice has been working on. Yes, definitely, it is depending on, don't put it as issues. I would put it as my experience, my personal experience, your personal experience. You don't have to demonize your experience on the spot, right? Don't demonize it. It's an experience. So you bring your own experience with regard to right effort perspectives. Last question, and then we will open for the others here. Please comment on issue of avijja asava in relation to akusala thought. Okay, passa, akusala thought covers a multitude of types of condition. Yeah, that's a thought. You are putting it rightly, external, internal. Okay, questions for B. The mental lobha, vyapada, avijja, are these in the form of asava. What is an asava? Asava means influx. Asava means influx. That means the very format, what you call the proto-format of our akusala is the asava, the proto-format. There is not, perhaps you might not be able to dissect it anymore. Why do we have asava? Is it for any bad karma we did? No, that is the human life, sentient being's life, that we are having asavas. There are 4 asavas. Initially, kama, sensual desire, bhava, existence, thoughts about existence, avijja, ignorance, and then ditti, views. These are not evil things, but the way how we manage them, they can become evil, right? So these are connected to evolutionary ethics as well, evolutionary activities of our life. But what we have to understand is that Lobha, dosa, moha, as you said, vyapada, even avijja. Actually, avijja is the root cause, as you understand, but avijja is conditioned by asava. So then let's put avijja, asava at the same level. But other things, lobha, dosa, moha, vyapada, they all are stemming from this asava, avijja connection. Asavas occur spontaneously or under certain conditions. Asavas occur due to the support of avijja, and then avijja occurs due to the support of asavas. So they are mutually dependent upon. You are asking external, internal. I think to the level of avijja, you might not need external things, because avijja is this darkness that we all are part of. That is why we go to see outside world. Not that you are having avijja because you are connecting to the outside world. No, because of avijja, we are gathering information from outside. Rupa, sattva, gandha, rasa, pottappa, dhamma, all these objects that are coming to the senses. So I would say not because of avijja needs external world, rather than true avijja, you are driven to the outside world to gather information. Asavas from avijja located in, no, vijnana is what we carry all that from life to life. Definitely this vijnana is conditioned by avijja asava, because the way how the vijnana goes from one life to other life is this process. All right, I think that's all. Any questions from the floor? Is sanya situated? Are you asking where is the position of sanya here? No, sanya is not directly part of the process. Sanya is implied. It is mostly within our, because sanya must be a part of our consciousness. So, which is carrying, what you call, 12 nidanas are talking about how does the consciousness travel to the next.
But sanya is also one of the 5 aggregates, right?
To one life. In one life to one life.
And then the 12, the samuppada, the 12 parts. Where is a sanya position? Because we have Vedana.
No, sanya doesn't need to be positioned within the 12 nidanas. Sanya is within their processing.
Within the process.
Within the process.
Process
it is
which
implied.
part? Which part? Is it Sankara, Namarupa, or Vedana?
No, I mean sanya is carrying all this information behind the scene.
Oh, okay.
It is not, you can't put it into one particular nidana.
Okay.
Because Sankara has sanya, Vijnana has sanya, Namarupa has sanya. So you take it from one life. Sanya has to be taken from one life, and the rest of the sanyas are passing on to another life through Vijnana. Yes. That's why it was not a part of mainstream nidana.
Because the 5 aggregates, 4 of them is already in these 12 parts.
Yeah.
But I was thinking where sanya.
Okay, so with regard to the 5 aggregates, 5 aggregates talk about one life. This is talking about sansara. Patissamuppada talks about the sansara process. 5 aggregates talk about one life. So they took the sanya part out. But sanya is working here, behind the scene.
Behind the scene. Okay, thank you, Bhante.
In the closed doors.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, just now you were talking about the concept of anatta, which is non-self, right? I would like to ask about how this translation happened to be non-self, and are there other elements in the Pali word itself that the word non-self does not capture for our own practice? Like, what do we need to keep in mind when we look at the Pali word? Thank you.
I think it's a misreading by the early Western scholarship. That misreading has been going now in whatever the ways. So maybe due to poor reading of Pali, because Pali you can't read in the literal sense all the time. You have to read from contextual understanding. So then only we understand what is anatta, Because if you translate on the surface level, no self or non-self, but then how do we look at Attavagga chapter in the Dhammapada on self? and how to look at a lot of other teachings that we know about Atta. Buddha always talks about Atta. So it's a misreading about Pali concept called Anatta, like Dukkha. Also a huge misreading. Dukkha was translated outrightly as suffering. Yeah, they could have translated as maybe unsatisfactoriness, maybe a frustration, maybe dissatisfaction. But dukkha can lead to suffering, the way how you manage it, right? Not that you're saying I have a sweet pain. I mean, people might say so. There are many other words as such, the way how they translate it. Yeah. So, working on oneself in Buddhism is very important before you pick up not self. This is one very important thing, because when we were discussing about financial management, wealth management, one has to thoroughly believe that I have to take care of myself, self-care. This is a big topic in Buddhism. And then Buddha talks about how to take care of your family members, your parents, and how to take care of your other things, how to walk away from other hazards, emergency things. So I think if somebody dropped this idea, Buddhism does not believe in a self. In that way, they are even disregarding many suttas, lot of Dhamma teachings where Buddha talked about self, the importance of a changing self, not self, the importance of taking care of a changing self. That part has to be highlighted. So translation is a problem, poorly translated, without understanding, and then the context, and then all the teachings with regard to that part. We might take 2 more questions if you have. Yes, please. And after you, yeah.
Kyoto Bhante.
Sukhihoto.
The avijja seem to be only the unwholesome thoughts that will go through the 12 link. If you look at the first avijja, is ignorant, right? So meaning that it's only the unwholesome thought will go through the 12 link. What about the wholesome thought? Does it go through the 12 link as well?
Yeah, very good point. Better to take it as merits and demerits. Punya and papa. Now, all these are part of avijja. Somebody thinks that I don't want to become a sotapanna. I only want to do good karma, merits, dana only. And it's also avijja. Because what if that in one life, you are not getting this exposure? Maybe you don't have enough virya energy in that life. You know Dhamma, but you run out of your energy. Then what will happen? You may have no Dhamma books, no Sangha members. Maybe you were born in some other place, you never know. You are in a very jeopardized situation, very risky situation. So that means we need good karma, we need merits. At the same time, let's accelerate this practice in a better way. So avijja includes both merits and demerits. Yeah. We can say unwholesome and wholesome actually. If it is a kusala, then definitely the person understands that thing.
So there is a wholesome, but
no,
within the wholesome, there's an element of unwholesome.
No, in my understanding, merit is not, you cannot put merit as wholesome all the time. Because when you talk about merit, somebody might do merits for a purpose, something in return for the next life. It's a merit, but maybe not wholesome. If you say wholesome, it must be a kusala. Alobha, dosa, moha, and then dana. If it is a merit, it might be a little bit of less of lobha, but still having a bhavatanha for the next life. So rather putting unwholesome, wholesome, let's put it meritorious, demeritorious verses, including the avijja. So punya papa in the avijja, and punya papa akusala, they are in avijja, but kusala definitely not in avijja. Yes.
Because in the bhava, we understood bhava, we have a unwholesome thought, then we have a bad becoming. If we have a wholesome thought, then there will be a good becoming. So since bhava is also part of the 12 links, that's why I'm thinking.
No, here
the
bhava doesn't
wholesome-
mean bhava tanha. What do you call
There's
here?
a becoming, right here.
Yeah, becoming. I mean, there are different people who look at it differently. I mean, this can be taken in a demeritorious way, this whole process. But avijja includes merits and demerits and unwholesome things, but not kusala.
Evening, Bhante.
Yes, good evening.
Bhante, maybe I have to concur with you. The more we learn, the more we are confused. So basically, Bhante, like all the words used, like the words that you use, samma vayama, then we have viriya, translated as effort. One is effortless effort. Then just now the brother here you mentioned about kusala versus punya. Then we have anatta, another version here and there. I think end of the day, I think just watch the thoughts will be better. But Bhante, what we are trying to say here is that is there any possibility that actually what we are trying to explain here is that while anatta is explained as non-self and not self, could it be because when it is used in the context of the two truths, the mundane truth and the supra-mundane truth, therefore these words actually varies in their respective context? What is Bhante's opinion on this?
So the first part you said that the more you learn, the more you getting confused, has to be looked at, looking at a certain Pali understanding. Actually, we cannot do any sutta study without learning basic Pali. I'm not saying a lot of Pali, because if we teach this only from English, pure English, that can make more complicated understanding, because English has a lot of meanings. So, but we try to learn a little bit of basic Pali concepts, like all these Pali concepts, like you said, viriya is energy, and right effort is samma vayama, and how to do the right effort is effortless effort. So, I mean, these are certain stages of that concept. So we have to differentiate them. Maybe in our future sutta studies, we will try to incorporate them. Secondly, we cannot say that there is no self. Now, mundane and supramundane truth, this understanding comes from Abhidhamma. In early Buddhism, there is no difference as such. In early Buddhism, but the Buddha says, Atta and Anatta exist in different formats. But there is no permanent Atta. Changing Atta exists. But Anatta, Buddha never said that. Anatta cannot be said as no self. Anatta means you cannot take self at a certain level as self. It doesn't mean that there is no self. Self exists, then otherwise who is having the pain in the body? Who is having the knee pain if there is no Atta? But there's a changing Atta that is happening. But if there is a change, if there is a unbearable pain happening, one day you will understand this pain shall pass at a certain point. By not creating a lot of thoughts about myself, you will come to a certain level that you don't take self as self at that point. That could be anatta. So choosing one or the other could be the problem here. And also the translation. So we cannot translate anatta as no self, because why people translate it as such? They translate it only by literal terms. Anatta, no atta, no self. But they didn't understand the figurative, the contextual meaning of anatta. So that's what happened with that thing. I think we will finish with your question, almost. Yeah, final question. Yeah, please.
Bhante, will it be right talking about self and non-self? It will be easy to understand in the sense that there is no permanent self. I mean, there is a self. Of course, for other religion, it calls soul. So I think sometimes the confusion is non-self, no self. So can we put it as no permanent self? I mean, it's not permanent. There is a self, like you say, but it's not permanent. It keeps changing. And then finally,
we could say changing self.
Yeah, changing self or no permanent means that self is not.
Changing self as not self.
Yes.
We could go like that.
Yeah. It will be easier to accept, I think. Rather than say no self, say I'm here.
Yeah, that's what we were-
non-self. How can be non?
Yes.
So at least we say it's a changing self. Mean the self that I stand now and the next second or the last second is different.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's what we've been talking.
Yeah. So finally, Bhante, we have been studying of this Girimananda Sutta for so long. So what is your take-home message? The most important part of this. Of
Yeah.
course, we learn a lot of things. So what are the core, our take-home message to go out? Then we say, yeah, this is the sutta.
I think you have to think about it. Number one, what I'm saying is that just to finalize this thing, try to incorporate this into your daily life. These 10 sanya, that is the biggest takeaway here. All right. And somebody asked actually whether I can chant this sutta, maybe not today, maybe another day, we will accommodate that. Okay, so then we'll wrap this up at this point. The next sutta will be announced in maybe in a couple of weeks. Maybe next week. By next week, we will announce the next sutta. So may all the good karmas we've been making up to this point about studying Girimananda Sutta